different for practice, but Kevin McGee still managed to set a new lap record. Today's weather is much improved, making the Lakeside track tough on tyres and machinery. Let's go to Brisbane now and join John Smales.
The sensation of this desperately hot Lakeside race meeting is Kevin McGee. In his last ride for Marlboro Yamaha today before heading to the World Championship in 1988, McGee in warm-up has taken 1.3 seconds off the outright circuit lap record to become the quickest ever rider at this circuit.
Kevin McGee really has had a brilliant year in the opportunities he's been given internationally. 3 World Championship Grands Prix, World Championship Formula 1 and World Endurance Championship. He's scored points in all 3 series. It's been recognised by Kenny Roberts' Lucky Strike Yamaha team, where next year he will join another rider, American Wayne Rainey, and they will jointly tackle the World 500cc Grand Prix Championships, joining Wayne Gardner in that 15 or 16 race series, depends how it rounds out. 16 at the moment. And Kevin McGee, though, is the man who today probably has most to prove of the 3 favoured riders, because although he's in second in the point score, that's from 4 second places in the 2 previous rounds, 4 heats. Michael Dowson's had 3 wins and a third. Malcolm Campbell's had a win, a crash and 2/3. So McGee, of those 3 front runners, is the one who really does want a win today. And his pit crew, Dudley Lister, says in fact Kevin is really fired up and he'll win both of them. Robbie Scollier, as supporting Malcolm Campbell well, has finished in all 4 rounds. Roger Marshall is the best of the visitors. Robert Holden, like Marshall's on a Suzuki, also the Swede Anders Anderson.
And Peter Clifford, the times yesterday were really quick.
Yeah, it was very exciting watching practice yesterday, and we've had sort of so many different sessions here. It really, I think, depends on who you believe as far as the practice times are concerned, because Campbell was said to be fastest in Honda's own under Honda own timing earlier on Thursday, and yet no one else has seen him go quite that quick.
Spectacular pictures there from the front of Rob McElnay's bike and the rear of Robert Holden's Suzuki now as he comes down the hill to the start-finish line, where they'll line up for round 1, 15 laps of Lakeside Circuit, 2.4 kilometres around, the 5th race in the Swann Insurance Series for 1987.
That's 36 kilometres around this 2.4 kilometre racetrack. Big field lining up, the biggest entry they've had for the 3 rounds so far, and here they are. Michael Dowson on 1, McGee's on 2, Campbell's on 3, Scollier is on 4, Roger Marshall is, as I say, the best of the visiting riders.
And the exciting news is that because the start is so essential, Malcolm Campbell has a new version of the NR750 clutch fitted to his machine after problems in the first 2 rounds, and says that it is an improvement, but it still requires a really delicate touch to get away, and it'll be interesting to see just who does make it to the first corner in front.
Kevin McGee, then Malcolm Campbell, behind was Len Willing, that's Robbie Scollier, that's Roger Marshall. This really is a tense fight. It's very, very difficult to overtake around this track.
Ready now for a start.
Trying to move and then was held back, but he punched away pretty well. But it is the Marlboro Yamaha rider, Michael Dowson, the series leader, who punches up into the lead. I think McGee will join him. No, sir, he's 4th.
Peter Goddard up into 6th. Peter Goddard up into 2nd. Sensational start from Goddard on the Moriwaki as they come through the carousel for the first time. It's Michael Dowson in the lead. Goddard 2nd, then Marshall,
and then McGee rounding him up. And Malcolm Campbell was 2 places behind McGee in 4th. Campbell was back in 6th. This man, Dowson, did it right. And McElnay looks at Rob Holden immediately in front. Rob Holden's bike with an on-bike camera facing the rear. Now sweeping up through Hungry Corner, up towards the top of the hill. Led by Dowson, then McGee. And there's Campbell. And Schollier's 2 places behind him, and Robert Holden with the camera bike facing the rear. And McElnay immediately behind him. Looping down now as McGee gets out after Michael Dowson. And they do 66 seconds for their standing lap, and McGee is beautifully positioned. 15 laps, not ready to move yet. Peter Goddard still 3rd on the Moriwaki Honda number 14.
3.02 seconds separates Mike Dowson back to Malcolm Campbell in 5th position.
And Roger Marshall's in front of him immediately in 4th place. There's Marshall, there's Campbell.
And really the Yamaha men have the advantage, a tremendous advantage, because and that's McGee McGee looked as though he was going to go through there, but Dowson hangs on to the advantage, and these men really are getting away from Campbell because he has 2 riders in front of him, and it's going to be very hard for him to get past before the 2 Yamahas have disappeared over the horizon.
Robbie Scollier next, then Anders Anderson.
And the rear wheel of Dowson's machine bumping all over the place there as he came down into that last right-hander before the start and finish straight. But it didn't seem to slow him at all.
The first 6 separated by just Len Willing. Len Willing down on 49.
That's a hungry corner going up the hill.
And very fortunately, Willing chose a place, one of the few places to fall where there's no crash barriers here at Lakeside, and he's just gone across the grass, so although he looks dazed at the moment, with any luck he won't be seriously injured.
Dowson now, the leader, but also the hunted as Kevin McGee punches out so hard out of what they call the bus stop area, the chicane that was built to narrow the approach angle and also the speed to the bridge where there was a fatality last year. And McGee is not wanting to pass at this stage on lap 3. He wants to hold Michael Dowson and to pressure him. He's staying with him. You remember what he did on the last lap, tried to do, down the inside of him at Calder Raceway. Some of the pit crew of those 2 riders say Michael Dowson puts on the blinkers when he goes out to race, and that he had them on at Calder.
And Campbell now up into 3rd place, and he has a clear road ahead of him with just these 2 men to chase, and he's really catching them quickly now. He's passed both Goddard and Roger Marshall.
He looked the most spectacular of them all yesterday, Malcolm Campbell. He really had his bike working hard. He's only about 2 seconds in arrears now. He is flying. This is building up to the sort of race that I thought we'd get at Lakeside, because Kevin McGee does not want to leave this series headed for Europe without a win. He got 2 wins in the series last year.
And if McGee was sitting behind Dowson, he won't any longer, because he must surely be told that Campbell is catching him, and he knows that Campbell will be on them any second.
Sensational time, 61.86.
And Campbell really trying the back end sliding now. Look at it, buck and weave. He's got all it on. Just fighting to enter control of the NR750.
They're 1 second between the first 3. Absolutely rocketing. Boy, this is absolutely sub-lap record stuff. Malcolm Campbell he's not off the air, but he's got his neck out that far. He's like a turtle. Gee whiz, it's daring stuff. 160 horsepower, and I reckon he's using every one of them. And if you went round pundits last night and this morning and said, who'll win tomorrow, you got as many versions as there were people. Because they just don't know. They all know of the various reasons these riders want to win. There's now half a second between the 3 of them as they punch up the hill for the 5th time. It's still only 1/3 race distance as the Honda rider gets onto the 2 Yamaha riders. And if they sleep any longer, he'll be through on both of them. He is hooking together some fearsome laps, Malcolm Campbell.
Now, interestingly, the 2 Yamahas just got away from Campbell coming down the hill, but he may, of course, have hung back to get a clear run through the fast right-hander. He's now right with him again.
Campbell yesterday timed at 212 kilometres an hour through that right-hander.
In fact, Kevin McGee later on, that must have been slow track, because with the police radar showed Kevin McGee fastest at 234, and
McGee goes past. McGee looking for there's almost no room there, but McGee and Dowson side by side. Dowson puts his foot out, says, move over, buddy, this is my line.
Now, Campbell up onto them.
Kevin McGee leads. I thought it was McGee's foot, but it was Kevin McGee's foot who said, don't do to me what you did to me at Calder. Unbelievable stuff.
And the lap record lowers again, 61.6 seconds this time round.
And you can see it. There's about a 1/10 of a second between 3 race riders at 234 first to third. And this is the formation that could put Kevin McGee on a win in the Swann series, the series overall, because Dowson only has to finish third and second in today's two heats. McGee first in both, and McGee wins the series. That's what he's after, and at the moment he's in position to do it. This is lap 7 coming up for completion.
Now almost the full distance of the straight separates these three from the fourth place man Roger Marshall. Behind him comes Pete Goddard, then moving up into fifth position is Rob Scolio on the second of the Works Hondas.
And it is McGee, Mr. Super Smooth. He just looks so beautiful when he does a quickie. Malcolm Campbell, by comparison, partially the bike as they sort out the handling, partially his riding style, looks pretty ragged, pretty exciting. But they're both super quick, brilliant race riders, and I think it's they that will now argue the second half of this race. This is exactly half race distance. Looks almost as though Kevin McGee, and it's just as bad behind, I might say. There are 5 bikes, which is Roger Marshall, Peter Goddard, Robbie Scolio, Michael Doohan on 51, sandwiched together as well.
The lap record tumbles once again, 61.44. Now remember, when Kevin McGee did his 61.1 in practice this morning, he did it on a soft rear tyre. Now he's on a hard tyre, and they're still getting down to those times.
And on the tail of that bunch, there is Robert Holden on top of the ones I mentioned, and there is 0.64 of a second over 5 of them. Sensational motorcycle racing at Lakeside. Lap 9, Kevin McGee logging in, tucked down now, and he says, don't get ragged, Kevin, concentrate lines, braking points, do it smoothly, you'll do the times, and you'll beat Malcolm Campbell. And boy oh boy, he gets the bike sliding too much, and he has to sit up and straighten up and drop a tenth or so, and Malcolm gets right onto him. And Dowson cannot keep up with them. I don't think Michael Dowson can stay with them.
Peter Clifford, the heat here at Lakeside today is likely to affect tyre performance in the closing stages of this race.
Yes, it certainly could do. The ambient temperature and of course this incredible pace working together, and it may just be that Dowson abused his tyres a little bit too much at the beginning, trying to get away, and that's why he's now dropped back. Impossible to tell from this distance, but everybody working the tyres very hard now.
Race leaders, McGee, Campbell, Yamaha, Honda. 5 valves per cylinder, oval pistons on the Honda. High tech, high power, forefront of engineering technology in these two motorcycles. Equivalent to Formula One car racing.
There's fourth position.
And have a look at this bunch of 5. Look at them. And just dropping off them's Michael Doohan.
Peter Goddard in the lead on 14, then comes Roger Marshall.
And then Robbie Scolio, Robert Holden and Doohan. Holden's just got past Doohan. There's less than a second between the 5 of them. And they're occupying 4th, back to 8th place. There's Goddard, look at them. That's the guys behind Michael Dowson. Boy, what a race. Goddard, Scolio, he's 4th place, Goddard on the Morawaki Honda, and he has a chance to beat Roger Marshall in the series and in the race, which he's trying to do. Now you still see McGee leading down Campbell. Campbell crashed at Oran Park. Kevin McGee crashed in qualifying at Calder. Have had major injuries this year. Kevin McGee, a slight crack of his femur due to a crash at Bathurst. Malcolm Campbell, a couple of months later, did his collarbone at Lakeside at Winton. And Michael Dowson at this very track in May broke his leg and his wrist.
3.54 seconds the gap now from this man Kevin McGee back to his teammate Mike Dowson in 3rd place.
And now we see McGee and Campbell catching up a slower man. Now this could be crucial. It's a really tight section of the track, and if McGee has to hesitate in his passing manoeuvre, Campbell will be on him. No, McGee safely passed. Now that
for the moment. This is the race lead as they complete lap 12. 3 remain. Michael Dowson's third.
And dropping back, 4.19 seconds the gap now from first to third place.
So Kevin McGee is on target. He's certainly in with a potential.
Rob Swann
moves series on the basis of this result.
Rob Swann moves up into fourth place and he's 13.14 seconds off the leader.
Well, this is the form, Peter Clifford, surely, that's seen Kevin McGee so strongly endorsed for overseas. I've said that at Oran Park in round 1 he was playing it a little bit cool as we see this secondary dice in the race at the moment being led by Robbie Scollier. He's got ahead of Goddard. But I said that McGee was, with a trip to Singapore immediately in the week following, was content to take those second places at Oran Park and reasonably happy at Calder. But he said, I had no front tyre that worked properly for the first heat at Calder. I was down on power for Oran Park. Today everything's right. Of course I'm going to the win.
Yes, he certainly is repeating now the form we've seen him show in Europe, and he now seems to have dropped Campbell. McGee out on his own, not under the same sort of pressure he has been for the first 3/4 of the race, riding absolutely beautifully, smoothly, but still the machine sliding and weaving. That tells you that it's right on the limit.
Dowson in warm-up this morning had a miss in his engine. Warren Willing, the team chief, said they traced it to some dirt in the carburettor float bowl, but I wonder, Peter Clifford, whether it might have come back.
Well, yes, it's a real concern, isn't it? Because they only just had time to bolt the machine back together before this race, and of course that could be the reason why Dowson is now slipping behind in third place.
2 seconds. McGee back to Malcolm Campbell. He's on lap 14, so 1 remain after this, and this really is the smooth flowing, daring, high-speed brilliance of a man that goes to the World Championships next year with just an absolute trunkful of natural ability. He's out on the final lap, the 15th in this heat. Campbell is second. It's about 5 seconds behind Michael Dowson in third place. It would be 14, 15 seconds back to the dice as Kevin McGee finds his tyres have gone off and the bike's getting into his sighting time. He's well in control. Scollier, then Robert Holden, then Peter Goddard, then Roger Marshall and Mick Doohan are the bikes behind.
The pace is still right on. McGee has just been timed at a 61.42. 1 second under the lap record on the final lap of the race.
And with his tyres not actually in superb order. And remember this, that Kevin McGee has a radial rear but a cross-ply front. Malcolm Campbell has developmental Michelin radials all round on his Honda, and so has a slight advantage.
But one of the things that impressed Roberts and everybody else in Europe about McGee is his ability to ride on what amount to old, well-used tyres.
And Kevin McGee does it. He takes the checkered flag and wins the 5th race, the third leg, round 1 of the Swann Insurance Motorcycle Series from Malcolm Campbell, with Michael Dowson still the series leader in third position.
By 2 points. Kevin McGee started this race 7 behind. He has now gained 5 points on Michael Dowson. So that race went for 15 minutes, 31.91 seconds. This man doing an absolutely sensational job, and he averaged 139 kilometres an hour around a very tight, very twisty and a very bumpy racetrack, and was just superbly in control. So there are the placings for this 5th heat, the first heat of round 3 of the 3 consecutive weeks of the Swann Insurance Series. Kevin McGee, Marlboro Yamaha, Malcolm Campbell, Team Honda Australia, Michael Dowson, the Marlboro Yamaha team in third.
Kevin, sensational stuff. No one would have thought it possible. 61-second laps the whole way.
Well, the bike's working pretty good around here. We spent a fair bit of time with the suspension and stuff. We're quite happy with the way the bike's going. Having a bit of a problem with rear tyres, but you just got to, when it goes sideways, just try and keep it there and not let it go any further.
What's this kick of the foot to your teammate?
He doesn't usually leave me much room, so I just let me know I was there.
Did you do it especially just to open up the gap for him?
No, I was already in front. I just was saying leave me a bit more room sometimes.
The pressure that came on you in the last laps from Malcolm Campbell, was it great?
No. Yeah, it was a bit. I thought there's a lot of corners where I'm not happy with sort of pushing the front end of the bike in there under brakes. So, Mel was obviously prepared to go a bit further, so I tried to get back as quick as I could before he got into a rhythm in front of me.
So Kevin, now it all comes down to the final race this afternoon. It's winner take all between you and Mike Dowson. Mike, how do you feel about that?
Oh, we had a few problems in the first leg, and I'm sure the second one will be a bit better for us.
But you realise now that the point situation is that whoever wins the final wins the series.
Sure.
That's fair, isn't it?